Hello! Today I wanted to do a more informal, chatty, sit down type video because I've got a lot on my mind and a lot of things I feel like I need to talk about, sit down and discuss with you. I suppose you could title this video Reading Identity and Growing Out of YA. So for a bit of background, I've been reading YA now for about half of my life. I am 16 going on 17 and I've been reading YA since I was around 8 or 9. I first read The Princess Diaries by Meg Cabot when I was 9 and they are what sparked my love of the category or genre, if you like, of young adult literature, and I've read it ever since then. It's been very rare until I think the last year that I've read anything different. I primarily read YA. This year I've branched out more into non-fiction and graphic novels and things like that, and I've read a lot more, but it has been, I suppose I must have read about 300 or 400 YA books in around 7 or 8 years, so half my life, and I've read a lot. So I suppose I wanted to talk today about my identity and how I'm feeling about YA and some problems with my own reading and mindset and how I have viewed reading in the past, because it's very problematic. I've come to see it now as very problematic, and I couldn't go on thinking and acting the way that I was towards books because it was not healthy and it wasn't making me happy. So as I've got older, a lot of people have asked me, well, are you still reading those books, because they're for teenagers? Shouldn't you be reading something else now? And my answer has always been, no, I enjoy reading them, and so I'm going to read them up until I don't enjoy reading them. And I think that now that I'm getting older, I'm starting new things and I'm really moving on with my life in a way that I haven't been able to for a very long time. I'm finding that I'm not loving YA as much because I've read it for so long, and this isn't a type of video that is slagging off YA because I love it and I always will, but you may have noticed that I've been quite absent from social media for a while now, for a few weeks. I decided a few weeks ago that I was going to delete Twitter from my phone, I was going to delete Facebook, and I was going to really minimise my time that I was spending on social media. So I've still been checking things like Tumblr and Instagram because I don't associate them so much with my online presence, because I've been doing this for 4 years now and I felt like I was really confining myself to how I have been all along. I haven't allowed myself to grow out of this box because my habits have become deeply ingrained in social media and my attitudes to books have become very synonymous and worked alongside social media, because I've been talking about books on social media for 4 years now, and that's a very long time to do it every week, nearly every day. So it's been a really interesting process in the last month or so. I have completely taken myself off social media. I check it every now and again just to see if there's any important messages, but other than that I have been really limiting my time on Twitter and I haven't been looking at my feed. So I decided that I was going to take myself off for a while, even if it was just a week. It would be something, because I've been on social media constantly for 4 years now, which is a very long time and not exactly healthy. So I told myself this month that I was going to have a break from that. I think it's been about 2 weeks now, or maybe even a week, but it feels like months since I haven't posted a tweet. I wanted to stay on some social media because I enjoy it. I like talking about books and I like having that outlet to talk about books, but especially with Twitter, it was becoming so much, I was focusing so much on being a certain person, reading a certain thing, that actually when my brain was telling me, no, you don't want to read that, I'd rather read something else, I was saying, no, I have to read this, I have to read that, this is what I have to do, and that is not a healthy attitude at all to reading. So it was becoming very problematic for me, so I took myself off and removed myself from that. So this month I've read some amazing books I've loved, including The Great Gatsby, which was incredible, and I just loved The Great Gatsby. It wasn't perfect, but it's a book that I haven't been able to stop thinking about since I finished reading it, and I know I'm going to be rereading it millions and millions of times. I also read Orlando by Virginia Woolf, which I probably wouldn't have allowed myself to read otherwise if I hadn't been not reading YA, because I felt like I had to be reading YA and it's going to take too long to read Orlando. I definitely don't think I would have allowed myself to read them because I was reading so much YA. I was feeling like I had to reach a certain quota because I was receiving so many review copies of books, which isn't healthy either. It's not healthy for my mind when they are cluttered all over the floor. I physically do not have any more room for review copies, and it also just wasn't healthy in the way that I I was really pressuring myself to read them, and also pressuring myself to like them because I felt like I had some obligation to read and review it in a more positive way. And so I think I've got to the point now where I want to read things more critically. I am starting English Literature at A-level in September in a matter of a few weeks, and I'm very excited for that, and that's really made me think about my relationship with books and how I read them and how I engage with them, because a lot of the classics that I read I engage with very critically, but I wasn't doing the same with YA, and that was getting on my nerves a bit in the way that I felt like I had to like it. I had to find something that I liked. I enjoy reading classics and learning about the themes and the symbolism and the motives and all these types of things I find fascinating, and the history behind them. For example, the Bronte sisters I have loved for ages now, but I haven't been able to read any more of their novels because I've been so fixated on reading other things. Another thing as well that I was really fixated on was reading a certain amount of books and reading books in a certain amount of time, and if I didn't read a book a week I would feel so guilty. If I'd read 3 books in a month, I would feel guilty that I hadn't read enough, and it was getting to the point where I couldn't enjoy the books I was reading because I felt like I had to keep going through them. And I was filling my reading list with graphic novels because the number wasn't high enough. Even though I don't set myself a goal on Goodreads, I always set it to 0 books so that I always exceed it. It was getting to a point where I wanted to reach this really unreachable target. I wanted to read like thousands and thousands of books, and this was especially perpetuated by the fact that I was receiving so many books to review at the same time, so they were coming in, I couldn't get them out quick enough, and so it was all this vicious cycle of, oh my gosh, I have so many books. And so I was viewing something that I really love. I love reading, I've always loved reading. I was viewing it in a way that was thinking, I can't deal with this amount of pressure to read this, to review it. I was getting so frustrated with the situation that I was in. So taking myself off social media removed part of that pressure because I didn't feel like I had to talk about books. I didn't feel like I had to read a book and then instantly talk about it and recommend it. And I have been reading things, I've been trying to read ahead for college, even though I don't have a set list yet. I've been trying to read a lot and read around the canon more, you know, read books like The Great Gatsby, which I haven't read but wanted to read. So I was doing that, but it was a very different kind of pressure. It was my own pressure rather than my own pressure plus the pressure of what I perceived as thousands of people on social media, because I was thinking I'm gonna let people down if I don't make videos. This is the first time I've been able to sit in front of my camera for months, really, because there was so much pressure thinking, if I don't read YA, who am I? I was really changing my identity. I've changed a lot in the 4 years since I started blogging, and I felt like I needed to catch up. I haven't been able to catch up the content I was creating with how much I've changed. So it's really nice to just sit in front of the camera now and be able to get this all off my chest and be able to talk about it, because I felt really pressured into reading YA and I wasn't enjoying it, but I felt like I had to enjoy it. I felt like I had to put across a certain persona. I felt like I had to be very upbeat and bubbly and enjoy the books and be really positive about the books, and I don't always enjoy that. So I suppose the purpose of this video is to tell you that the content on my channel, it might be changing a bit in the next few months. I don't think it will be extremely noticeable. I think I'm going to be reading less YA, and I'm actually really excited about that. I've really enjoyed finding new things. Going back over the centuries and finding all these new books is so exciting to me. I've become really excited about reading again. I've really renewed that passion because I'm finding all these wonderful things that are just incredible, and they're designed so beautifully, which is nice. They're written so beautifully, or in a very different style that I'm used to. That all these different techniques and things that are just written so well, and it's so nice. I am loving it so much. This question of who am I without YA was sitting around my head for a very long time, because my blog and my YouTube channel and my social media platforms are very much linked to me reading YA. I've always called myself a YA book blogger, a YA booktuber, and so I wasn't sure how my content would be affected if I actually wanted to do this anymore. I seriously contemplated just quitting, but I found that I cannot tear myself away from the social media world of blogging and books, and I think it's really helped finding other people who are talking about things that I'm interested in now. There are some amazing Tumblr blogs I found which I've loved, and I check them every single day, and amazing Instagrams too that post about things that I'm interested in. It's quite a scary time. It's been very hard for me to really figure out who I am now and how that's changed from who I was a year ago or 2 years ago. I'm finding it very exciting. I feel like a little kid in a sweet shop with all these books surrounding me, all these new books and weird and wonderful things. So I don't know if my thoughts were particularly coherent, but it was nice to get them off my chest in a way that was very freeing. It was so nice. So I'd really like to know in the comments if you have ever felt like this, if you have ever just gone, wow, the pressure's too much, I want to read something else, how you balance that pressure with being a part of the booktube or blogging community. And I'd also like you to recommend me a book that has completely blown your mind because it's been so unexpected and you didn't know that you were going to love it that much. So thank you for watching this video and I will see you guys soon. Happy reading!